Hello and welcome to Thrive After 45, the podcast where we redefine what's possible in midlife. I'm Denise Drinkwalter, your midlife renewal coach, here to help you embrace your power, purpose, and potential. This is your space to let go of guilt, navigate transitions, rediscover joy, and thrive for you, by you, because of you. It is an absolute honor and a privilege to welcome Caren Carnegie to the show today. Karen's journey into this work started through personal training, but even then, she knew there was something more. As she listened more deeply to her own healing and to the body's wisdom, she began to uncover a very powerful gift: the ability to read the body emotionally, energetically, and spiritually, not just physically. Now, as an intuitive momentum coach, psychic channeler, and founder of Transform Fitness Coaching, Caren creates a space where movement and soul meet. She helps people reconnect with themselves, move through stuck energy, and come back into alignment with who they truly are. Her impact goes beyond one-on-one clients. It reaches through her words, her presence, and the energy she shares with the world. Karen's work is sacred, embodied, and deeply transformative. And I am so grateful to have her here with us today. Caren, welcome. It is an honor and a privilege to have you on the show today. Thank you for being here.
Denise, that was beautiful. You made me tear up. That was
Well, I
I
wasn't
need to
meaning to
better
do that.
myself. Uh, it's really nice. Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. I've been really looking forward to this conversation.
So let's start, if we can, at the beginning of your journey. So, when did you first start to sense that there was something deeper waiting to be discovered beneath the surface of your personal training work?
Mm. So it was long after I had started. And what was happening was after the birth of my second child, especially, I had started really noticing that my body was crying for help. I
Hmm.
was having digestive issues, inflammation, skin flare-ups. At that point, too, I was really reliant on alcohol as well. And I was really spending a lot of time and energy blaming other things and giving my
Hmm.
power away to other resources, trying to fix these symptoms. Until one day I was at the chiropractor's office and I noticed a card sitting there and it had to do with a personal trainer or like a women's boot camp. But I knew that a women's boot camp, it just wasn't for me. I just didn't feel confident enough to step into an environment like that. It just wasn't for me. So I started thinking to myself, well, maybe exercise. I think it's time. That wasn't even something that was on my radar at this point at all throughout my life.
Okay.
And I thought, well, maybe exercise, that would be a good place. So it's just this little nudge, this little something that this light bulb moment that I thought, this is it. And I went home and I talked to my husband and I said, listen, I really would like to maybe start doing something with regards to fitness, but I had just injured myself not long before as a result of drinking. And I didn't know where to start. And I didn't see myself in what was being portrayed when it came to the gym. And
Hmm.
the thought of stepping into a gym just made me not want to start. So again, it just wasn't for me. So I decided at that point to hire a personal trainer. Now, this was about maybe a month or so before COVID started. And we had a couple sessions and things were feeling really good. I had that little spark was growing more. I noticed I felt better when I left.
Hmm.
And then COVID hit, the gyms were closed, and that time with my personal trainer just halted. And I said,
Right.
like, now what? I still don't have a lot of knowledge, but at least I have something and I want to keep this spark going. So whatever apps or whatever I could find on my phone, I went and I did them as best as I could. It wasn't perfect, but because I was by myself, it really was important that I listened to my body.
Mm.
And so I did that more and more. I had a couple virtual sessions with my personal trainer as well, but she wasn't there with me. So it was really important, again, that I listened to my body, really paid attention to these movements, it was as if I was self-teaching myself when it came to physical fitness. Then a bit of time went on, maybe months, where I started noticing that the thoughts that were swirling around in my head were changing. All of a sudden, they had become more positive, less limiting, less that I couldn't do this. I became more confident with my workouts, more willing to try new things or push myself a little bit more. And then I began to realize, what if I turned that same mindset that I have with my physical fitness and my workouts in other areas of my life where I was feeling really uncomfy,
Mm.
social environments, work, as a mom, you name it.
Right.
So I started looking at these things. So just like we can modify exercises, well, I could kind of modify and change my mindset when it comes to these things in my life. And maybe I'll become less anxious, or maybe I'll feel better because, like a lot of people do, we overthink ourselves into this, swirly whirly bit of chaos in our minds of these things that may or may not happen. And that's what I was doing too. But when I was at the gym and I was doing my workouts, I was present because I was so focused on my
Mm.
body that everything that was swirling around up here was gone. So I used that philosophy in other aspects of my life. And then as months went on, I would go about some walks and I wasn't meditating, and spirituality wasn't on my radar then. That didn't
Okay.
start falling until 2022. But what I did notice was these little drops of what I thought were thoughts at the time that were really encouraging. And it had to do with, now looking back, and I had written everything down because they were really good ideas. I thought, I'm going to go home and write this down, related to transform and start in that business model that I had started. So, really good insights, really encouraging, positive kind of ideas.
Hmm.
And then in 2022, I had a moment where, and I had still been drinking daily until even this point, and my exercise had started in 2019. So again, the changes weren't perfect, and they were
Right.
small. They were very
Right.
incremental. But in 2022, I had a very clear message from someone that I actually saw at that time, that was very clear when they said, Caren, you have a job to do. This needs to stop. You need to get to work.
Mm.
That was it. Had quit drinking. I knew that I was here for a much bigger reason.
Mm.
So then this stuff started popping up into my awareness when it came to books and listening to certain things that I would have never chosen for myself, but they were just popping up everywhere. And then I started
Mm.
learning more about quantum. So just like that fire inside when it came to learning about fitness, all of a sudden now I was learning about spirituality, which I was like, where did this even come from? This was not on my radar like months
Yeah.
ago. Now looking back, it's something that's been a part of my life for a
Yeah.
very long time. I know that now, but I didn't know that then.
Of course.
So again, so I started getting, so really taking these insights that I was getting, I was like, no, this is my intuition. These are my higher guides. This is my higher self speaking. These messages are about my purpose. So really taking them seriously, writing everything down, being present, really again honing in on my physical movement too, because I noticed I really connected the dots when it came to when I moved my body and the messages that I would
Mm.
receive and come through at that same time. And through the movement of my body, I was able to process my emotions better. That energy that's in motion that was so stuck before, that was causing my body discomfort, that was causing my whole being
Yeah.
discomfort. So we got
Yeah.
that moving. So I was able to get more insights. And then when it came to working with clients, I came to the realization that I wasn't just tapping into my own intuition, my own higher guides, my own sources. I was able to tap into theirs as well. So I would receive messages that were meant to get to these people that through their own feelings of, stuckness that they just weren't able to receive. So I was able to help deliver those messages so they would get off and running. So that's why I changed my title to intuitive momentum coach, because personal trainer seemed, like one avenue, and then spiritual life coach was another. But momentum is getting that energy in motion. That's what we were doing through the fusion of all of these things and with the psychic channeling, which makes it very, very unique. So that's how it came to be.
There's so many golden nuggets in there. There's a couple that I really want to pull out and
Mhm.
identify for our audience if they haven't heard it. One thing I heard pretty loud and clear is you shared your beautiful story and your journey is that it wasn't an overnight. You didn't wake up one morning and go, bang, this is it. I'm going off and doing this now. It wasn't like an outside, it was a deep internal step by step journey that slowly you opened yourself up to experiencing. Would you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's really important to remember that. And, it feels like we're always in this race with one another, always comparing, always, everybody has their own timing, their own layers to uncover. There's no rush. What's anyone's rush? Where do we have to be? Nowhere fast. So
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
take your time. Take your time. We have so much pressure on us as it is. Just, listen to yourself and stay on your own path because it's beautiful. It's beautiful. We could, and I compare it to a hiking trail, and those little markers
Oh,
that
yes.
are along the hiking trail, they don't tell you that you're there yet, but they tell you that you're in the right direction. So you follow those little
Right.
markers. And along the path, there's going to be many lookouts that are absolutely beautiful to see along the way. You're going to learn how to climb up these steep slopes and how to go down them
Yes.
without falling. Or you could be choppered to the top and miss all of that entirely.
Yeah. Yeah.
You would have missed all of that along the
Right.
way.
Right.
So, I mean, take your time, take the time that you need, and don't worry about anybody else and what they're
Exactly.
doing. Yeah.
Exactly. It's your journey and access it because it's right there. And you were able to see the tiny components and listen deep enough to be able to know those nudges and what they were. You probably didn't understand them in the beginning, but as they continued and you made yourself open to it because and correct me if I'm wrong, because they were not so loud that they interfered and you got to push them away, but they were quieter, but there was something deeper inside of you knowing you had to move it. Is that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And if I were given all of this information at the beginning that, Caren, this is what you're going to be doing,
Yeah.
that version of Caren was very scared. Like
Yes.
I don't think I would have done it.
Right.
So we're
Yes.
given what we're need. And the same with these messages that are received through psychic channeling, whether
Yes.
it's for myself, for the collective, or for members, we're given what we're meant to receive
Right.
when we're meant to receive it,
Exactly.
not a second sooner.
Exactly. Exactly. And everything happens in the way it needs to happen when it needs to happen, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, do I wish that, that my kids didn't experience me in that way when they were younger? Absolutely. But I don't spend a lot of time thinking about what was. It's an important, I don't, you'll find I don't spend a lot of time on my story because it it's important to acknowledge and really that version of Caren shaped who I am now.
Yeah.
But I don't spend any time blaming anything or
Yes.
anyone for any of that, right? What I want to encourage, I just don't want anyone to experience their version of rock bottom before something
Right.
happens. So those little nudges, we
Yeah.
spend a lot of time making sense of things to soothe our mind when your body's been talking to you in its own
Yep.
language for maybe a
Yeah.
really long time, and your body has a way better understanding of
Right.
what's going on, than anything up here ever will. So you'll never
Right.
hear me use the word mindful because to me, the mind is already full.
Mm.
Listen a little
Ooh,
bit more to the body.
say that again. Say that again. That was brilliant. Thank you. Go.
I feel like we're always using that word, but mindful, the mind is already full. Listen to your body and the nudges it often speaks in the language of symptoms, perhaps. And maybe it's been
Right.
talking to you for a really long time. Listen to your body, be aware of your body, aware of your reactions. Um,
Right.
but yeah, it's we give this a lot of credit and a lot of power, and really it could just be delaying what's waiting for you. And your
Right.
body knows what that is.
Yeah.
This, not so much.
Right. Tuning into your body. So, what does it mean that, like coming home to yourself? Like, how does the body actually guide that process of coming home to yourself? You're talking about the body, and it's very loud if you're paying attention and the power it
Hmm.
has.
Hmm.
What does it mean to be able to find that and come home to you?
So we disconnect ourselves sometimes from our body. We think that our
Hmm.
body has no relation to our path or purpose in this life, when
Right.
really it's the vessel or vehicle that's driving you through it. So the body holds energy, it holds emotion, it holds a
Right.
frequency, and it holds memory. At Transform, we're not here to always activate muscle, we're here to activate memory. So
Right.
when we connect to our body, we're telling ourselves we're important, that we want to feel better.
Right.
And it just opens up a whole kind of, it just opens up it's an invitation to feeling better and learning more about yourself and knowing what you're capable, what your body is capable. Because in this disconnect that we get with our body, I've seen some people become scared of their body, or they lose trust in
Yes.
it, and or we don't like what we see, or we're hard on ourselves when we look at our
Right.
reflection in the mirror. That reflection just wants you to see it the way that it sees you.
Mm.
So, a good metaphor that I have is the body is like a speaker, like a
Right.
speaker that we're talking out of right now. So, a speaker. And then the sound that comes through the spirit is maybe your intuition, your spirit, your soul, but there's static happening. There's static. We
Mm.
just need help to tune it. So, how do we tune it? We turn that little dial. Well, to me, that turning of that little dial is like movement. And not everybody might resonate with strength training or lifting weights. Maybe for
Right.
someone else, stretching, meeting their body where it's at right now. So, starting with stretching to connect with their body, yoga, martial arts, whatever it is,
Right.
finding that thing that sprinkles aspects of you in it. So, not everybody that works with me, needs to hire me as a personal trainer. I've got other options to work, with people.
Nice.
It's just helping you to remember what is that thing that makes your body feel good, that also makes your spirit just light up. So, it's asking
Right.
the right questions. And by finding out that real why,
Hmm.
their outcome becomes different. So there's always frequency attached to the reasons why people will do something.
Okay.
If they hire a personal trainer because they got a good deal, or they promised a fast result,
Mm.
well, their outcome is probably going to match that.
Right.
But if you ask more questions and you find out that somebody would like to hire a personal trainer, or move their body in a
Right.
different way that resonates with them, because they want to play with their grandchildren for as long as possible.
Right.
They want to get up and down on the floor, off the floor. They
Right.
want to hike with their husband because that is something that they just both enjoy.
Yeah.
That's going to become a little bit deeper. Their why becomes deeper. Their outcome is going to become
Right.
deeper and more sustainable.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Right. So it's just asking those questions. So many personal trainers will stop at the gate of the more physical,
Right.
whereas me, we go a little bit, with their permission, we open up
Of
those
course.
gates, and I start to ask people, what makes them who they are. And oftentimes, Denise, they don't have an answer because somewhere along the way, they've forgotten.
Yeah.
So some of my questions, I asked them about some of the stuff that they enjoyed doing when they were a child,
Hmm.
what do you do where you lose track of time? Well, maybe we've forgotten because we haven't done those things in a while. So when I'm creating these summaries and I sit with people in my awareness, planning their workouts or planning their recommendations for outside of the gym, I make sure it's sprinkled with aspects of them that meet them where they are in a really
Right.
practical and achievable way. I'm not asking anyone to go beyond themselves. That all of a sudden, wow, they start to feel better. They start to gain that momentum because now all of a sudden that energy that's been just sitting kind of, resting in their
Yeah.
bodies is moving.
Moving.
That's momentum. So, and receiving any messages from their higher guides or, sometimes a loved one that's passed, it changes.
Right.
Whatever is meant to reach them. And again, I want to emphasize it doesn't matter who the message is coming from, it's what the message is,
Right.
reaches
Okay.
them. And then that might help them to see past the blind spots, be like,
Hmm.
oh, it could be a phrase, a word, a memory, something that's ignited where they're like, oh, that's what it was that was in my blind spot that was preventing me from seeing that beautiful lookout that was right there. I just couldn't
Yeah.
see it because maybe this thing was right in my way, right?
Right. Right. So when you work with your clients,
Mhm.
I can only imagine that the variety of messages that come through are dependent upon their energy, your energy, the combination thereof, and it's any of those three elements that combine itself to create that response where you get messages, or are you finding that you don't have to spend a lot of time? Like, how does that even work? Because I'm so intrigued by this. It's so incredible.
So, so far, so there is a bit when I kind of attached to their energy. And when we speak at our initial conversation, we'll speak so we can see each other because I find that that's
Yeah.
really important because I
Hmm.
can see how they use their body just in conversation
Right.
and I can feel their energy and I can feel their energy through a text, an email, through a conversation, just with having them in my awareness.
Sure.
Consciousness is very vast. And when we agree to work with one another, we're agreeing to be in each other's energy
Right.
field, right? So through their energy, but there has been a really big variety. And
Yeah.
sometimes what might be blocking someone, something in
Hmm.
their blind spot is grief, for example.
Sure.
So maybe a message from, if there was a loss for them that was close to them, a message from that individual is what we've experienced. So it's all very specific to the
Right.
individual or something related to the weight of the world that's connected to their physical symptoms, just the weight of not just one person, but just, people's opinions or people's
Right.
expectations are just weighing their body down. So really just connecting those dots for them, and that'll be from their higher self or their team of higher guides. But it's been a variety, and some of it has
Hmm.
really caught me up just when I think that my direction is going one way, right? It just keeps me on my toes. I was like, wasn't expecting that one. And it's evolving every day. And
Yeah.
it is, and my gifts are evolving too, in that I would normally have to really kind of sit in solitude to receive these message. They're coming on more now in real
Nice.
time as well through
Yeah.
conversation, which is really special. So we're always in communication with each other through text, through the Transform app, or through regular conversations like this, and in person too. Maybe at the gym.
Right.
So it's yeah, it's been quite a variety, and a variety too on the people that reach out to me, men,
Yeah.
women. This work is for humans. It's for
Yeah.
everyone. It's for
Yeah.
everyone, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been quite a variety and has kept me on my toes.
Well, I have to say, I am so thrilled that you have listened to your guides. You have taken time and space to understand. I know at the beginning you shared that you, when you look at your past, this has always been part of who you are. but it's just come to light through your most recent, in the 2019s and beyond, things unfolding in the way that they needed to. I always believe that our journey is happening the way it has always meant to happen, even though we can't comprehend what's going on. It's much deeper than that. And I really, really love, Caren, that your message is very clear, which is exactly why we do this show, that this is for the importance of women in particular, because that's our primary audience, but people in general, we're going to say, making sure you do for you, by you, because of you, because nobody else can take the journey for you. It is yours, right? And the way that you have incorporated all of your gifts and talents through the challenging journey that you have experienced and not only come out the other side, but have, I'm going to say, grown wings as an angel path for so many who have the fortune to meet you, connect with you in whatever form and fashion that takes. And it really is an honor to share this time and space with you today. I'm so
Oh,
grateful.
thank you. Thank you. I am the grateful one. Thank you. I'm glad that we, found this connection for sure. It's, an important message for people too is just not to wait for your conditions to change.
Yes.
Um, we delay things to just try to make sense of it, but there's nothing more freeing than just trusting what is. We don't need to necessarily know how the body is connected to everything, but just know that it is. Trust that it is. You'll find out why once you go
Yeah.
along. So just trust that it is and just free yourself from those things that might be keeping you where you are, right?
Yep.
From the life that you're meant to live, that you're ready to live. So
Right.
taking these
Yeah.
first, following those little nudges it's really important.
It's really key, isn't it? It really is. And it's very quick how our mind enters in and becomes the little on the shoulder. No, what do you think of what are you thinking
Yeah.
about that? Why do you think you could ever do that? All this stuff.
And that does have a way of quieting down over time,
Hmm.
right? It
Yeah.
truly can, if you just really remember why you're doing this in the
Mm.
first place and give yourself love and compassion. Some of those voices that are up here, they'll start to quiet down. So just
Yeah.
really, and I feel like this is my hope for the future is through every person who I connect with or who I reach or but you with your clients and the people that you reach through your podcast, if we can help encourage people to love and accept themselves, it all starts here. Then and only then can we truly actually accept other people and appreciate other people. Because otherwise, we're just pretending, we're performing and pretending in this life, which maybe we've been doing for a while. But when you learn and really appreciate and accept yourself, you'll appreciate other people and see that we're all living and experiencing through our own lens. That's my hope for the future. That's how I feel like the world is then going to become a better place when we learn to actually value and appreciate each other because
Right.
we've accepted ourselves. So it all starts here.
Right. Right. And when we start there and when we understand the importance of yourself, and this is the thing that I find that the women that I work with really struggle with, that they feel that that is egocentric, where you start to think about you're as important as everybody else. And that is falsehood 101. Like, whoever gave that lip service, I mean, it's in the sphere for sure, but we need to remove it. We need to change it. And the only way we can do that is through our types of conversations and giving people the not only the concept, but the propensity and power to go ahead and move forward for themselves. And
Yeah.
yeah, right. When we do that, everything changes. in so many ways.
Women, I mean, we are just, it's in our blood to nurture and care for others. And that's a really, it's a barrier. It was a barrier for myself for a long time. And even in the beginning, when I chose and hired a personal trainer, I had young children at home. Shouldn't have used
Yeah.
that time for myself. I shouldn't have spent that money. But oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did, because now, because I show up for myself, I show up for my kids, and I'll show up better in the world. My
Yeah.
definition of fitness, I changed it because I want it to be more encompassing, more
Yeah.
holistic. It
Yeah.
is about being sound in your environment inside so we can be more sound in our environment around us. It has nothing to do with reps or weight or macros or equipment. It has nothing to do with that. It's in here.
Yeah.
So when people think that, that it's selfish or, that they shouldn't be taking that time for themselves, that is a big reason why it's a good idea, because you'll show up and you'll care for others, but really we need to focus on ourselves. And it's just shifting that paradigm now
Hmm.
that's just been ingrained in us for so long. Let's shift that
Yeah.
paradigm a little bit
Yeah.
so it's become more freeing for women especially to just take those steps.
Right. And the thing that I'd love to add to that is you are also modeling for your children so that
Yeah,
they can see the importance of making sure you look after yourself.
yeah,
And when you give them that underpinning, they're gonna they're not gonna battle as much or as hard or as long for giving back to themselves, which I love, which is, I
yeah,
think, why we need to do this work and why we need to have these conversations and why we need to have people like you in this beautiful world to be able to
yeah.
show us what can happen when we do change ourselves from the inside out.
It doesn't just stop at us by focusing on ourselves. And I'll use my own family as an example. You're right. Thank you for bringing that up. My children see something different. My husband's taking care
Yeah.
of myself.
Yeah.
It has healed something in my own mom, because she sees us taking care of her, us. So maybe if there's something inside of her, a layer that, that is needing a little bit of
Yep.
attention, that just helps her. So it doesn't just
Mm,
stop it. It's so important, all because you did one thing.
yeah.
It's pretty worth it to me.
Yeah. It's a win. It's the Stephen Covey win-win-win all the way
Yeah,
around, right?
yeah,
And the part I love is that it's without having to make it happen outside of you. You just
yeah,
start doing that for you, and your sphere of influence starts changing without you having to create the atmosphere for such, because you're already creating it through the energy you're putting out because you're happier with who you are.
exactly.
Yeah.
I would love to change, and I don't agree that fitness is an industry, and we see it in spirituality too. It's become an industry. When does that even happen? I don't know. But I'm one person, so I can't really, I'd love to influence a new idea when it comes to fitness, but I can hold space for all of those people who don't know. And don't get me wrong, there's many people who resonate with how fit is, and that's fine, and that's
Sure.
great, and I'm happy for them.
Yep.
But there are people out there who just don't see themselves with what's being portrayed. So I will hold
Right.
space. I will never stop. I will hold space, and for those people, so they know that fitness is in here. Everybody, it isn't a luxury. It's a right we all have. You belong here. I want people to feel welcome, just as I would welcome them in my own home.
Yeah.
You're not subscribing to an idea or a template. It's a
Right.
relationship. It's a sacred relationship, of somebody that knows all the dimensions. Because we
Perfect.
are multidimensional beings, just like I don't say mindful, I rarely say the word program either,
Yeah.
because we cannot be programmed, right? We're human. We have all these different layers. So go easy on yourself. And again, the changes, they don't have to be perfect or incremental. And things happen, life happens. Give yourself grace and compassion. And tomorrow is a new day.
Yeah. Perfect. Caren, thank you so, so much for your time, your energy, your positivity, your experience that you've shared, which I know I'm sure there are nights you probably and days you probably think, whoa, what has happened? I'm so grateful that you've been here to share this time with us. We will have all the information in the show notes so people can reach out, find you, connect with you, watch you, experience the energy that you are so graciously giving on a daily basis. Do you have any words that you want to share with the audience before we close off this great conversation?
Just to, we're always seeking something, waiting for that thing. You are the thing
Mm.
that you've been waiting for. You are it. You are it. So just free yourself from just trying to, compete in this race that just seems to be happening around us. Pause, be present. You are what you've been waiting for. So that would be my advice. That's what I'm hearing a lot.
Perfect. And you're going to do this for you, by you, because you are going to thrive after 45. Thank you all for listening. Please, please, please give a review if this resonates with you. We would love to hear from you. And again, check the show notes so that you can reach out and connect with Caren to have even more conversation. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.